Hello, gamers! Welcome to Gamers Galaxy Special Edition, talking some GOG, that is Guild of Guardians. Yes, this game has a ton to it, and you know us at Gamers Galaxy, we're covering a mutable ecosystem all the time. There's so much information going on. So I wanted to give a special attention to Guild of Guardians, and I found this gentleman who I think is perfect for doing this. He goes by the name Woody. You can find him on X at GameFi Nexus. Woody, how are you doing today, my friend?
Good, WT. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, it's we haven't been doing this, but I felt we really need to because you are chock full of just some massive information, and I want to put this out there for the GOG community to get your stuff out there because I think it's very valuable for new and advanced players, in my opinion. So my first question to you is, how long you been doing what you do?
Not that long. I started creating content back in November, but at the start I was sort of focusing on some different games. GOG was always sort of on my radar from my first stint in Web3 though, so I'd taken a little bit of a break like a lot of folks during the bear market and came back to the game in January. So I've been covering the game since then.
Awesome, man. That's kind of crazy because I've been watching your content. Like, it seems like you've been doing this for many, many years. So hats off to you. I know you're with O Canada A. O Canada A has a special place in my heart. I know tons of people from there. Capone, Tomahawk, Toadman Sam, and several other major people. Very, very close to them, and you are with them as well. How's that experience going in O Canada A?
It's been great actually. So what attracted me to them, I think, as content creators, we're on a bit of a different track with games because so much of our time is invested in creating the content, and I really like the relaxed atmosphere in O Canada A. We're a bunch of content creators who have somehow kind of found our way together in this guild. So you can imagine it's a very sort of educational, very collaborative atmosphere, and I really appreciate how they don't sort of, as they would term it, hoard information, right? So it's very much
Right.
everybody's there. We're learning together. We're succeeding together, and I really like that approach that they have.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just did recently apply to a guild and I got denied, which is kind of funny because they asked me to come there in the beginning, but no hard feelings. But yeah, one of their things was we are going to hoard information. So that's very cool that you guys are doing that. It's a very community based guild, O Canada A. If you are looking for a place, I would definitely check them out. Some good people there for sure. So these segments, they're going to be more about GOG. I just wanted people to get and to know a little bit about Woody before we started. It's not going to be our traditional hour and a half to 3 hour podcast, which people always probably like, wow, that's a big podcast. And yes, it is. This is going to be more segmented. So we're going to jump right into Guild of Guardians. And, you've had a sample size since May 15th, which is the launch. We're coming up on almost a month since then. What's your general thoughts since the launch and the current direction of the game Guild of Guardians?
That's a good question. I think the game's been doing relatively well, and I think there's almost two crews of people that are involved with this project, right? There's the folks who have been with the project since 2021, like yourself, like a lot of the folks in O Canada A, and then there's me who's coming into the project in January. And as someone who's coming into this project, I think it looks great. You have a solid game. You have built by a solid team, right? Mindloader has Web 2 development credits. Chris is an experienced game developer, and IMX. I think what folks not that they forget, but maybe they don't realize that in Web 2, this game would have hit the cutting room floor, right? So if a game, you have a concept, it's not going to pan out. In Web 2 development, they would just drop that title and move to the next one. So I think when you look at IMX's commitment to sort of change directions on the game and revamp it into something that can work for mobile, it's a great commitment to have behind a project. And it looks great, right? It's original. It has a great cast of characters. But what I really like about it is that you can totally play, and I've had this conversation with folks, right? You can totally pick up this game and play it and not realize that you're playing a Web3 game at all.
Yes.
And you could play it for months without even knowing that you have that option to go buy stuff off the secondary market, or you can ascend your guardians into NFTs and et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's really the critical thing here. Even if this project doesn't end up where folks would like it to,
Mm-hmm.
it's still a massive step forward for Web3 gaming as a whole. And so I'm really excited to be part of it and see the game evolve.
Yeah, I agree with you there. The point you're talking about, it hitting the cutting room floor in Web 2, yes, there was a lot of us that were wondering if that was going to happen here in Web 3. Chris Clay came along, and I will defend him forever that he put this game on his back and saved it, because I know what was going on before it, and there was a lot of I'm just going to call it misinformation about what was going on and the state of the health of the game. And what he did in a very, very short amount of time is absolutely unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to what he does with it, now that initial hurdle to get over. Like, what's his next steps? And that's what I'm looking forward to, because obviously, this is the launch. There's more to come. We know that. And yeah, I liked a lot of things you said about that. And any thoughts on what's coming up in the fall here with pets and anything like that?
Yeah, a lot of thoughts. Yeah, a lot of thoughts. Well, and I think that's it, right? Like, even though it's a launch, and I think when folks, if I'm basing it on experiences from other projects that I've followed, I think everyone sort of expects the next Minecraft when they approach these projects, right? But
Mm-hmm.
that's not how most, and especially in the indie space, because this is not AAA development, right? Um, so in the mobile space, like, projects can just kind of go sideways for a year, and then all of a sudden they'll go viral and explode. And I think that's what we're looking at here. It's not really that situation where right out of the gate, GOG was going to be one of the most played games in the world. Although
Right.
there's always that chance, but that's not what this is. And I think you can see that the team kind of knew that was going to happen, because they released a game that was missing a lot of features, and you can kind of feel as we got nearer to the launch that there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that was going to lead to that, right? So it makes sense that we're and they're not the only project that has done that. Mavia, Heroes of Mavia, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mavia. Heroes of Mavia did the same thing, right? They
Right.
launched the game to huge fanfare, but at the end of the day, there was no earning in the game yet.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing here, right? We don't have an earning mechanism yet. Those things are really complicated to implement. So I would rather that they take their time
Mm-hmm.
to make it right than put out a product that's like half baked and breaks immediately. Because that will kill the game faster than if they just sort of delay uh, putting in those kind of features, especially since they're not um, central to the gaming experience. Like, they're central to us who have invested in this project and expect some form of return, I guess. But to the player coming in, just picking this up for the first time, right? Whether there are sort of these earning mechanics with building artifacts together, or pets kind of, assisting in that somehow. I don't think that's central to them. It's still a great game. It's still very playable. And very addictive, because I've been putting in way too many hours to the point where it's even arguably slowed down my content creation.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about yourself, but that's one thing I'm learning in this type of content creation, is that unfortunately the research can take over and slow down your content efforts.
That's a lot of great points that you unpacked there, especially Heroes of Mavia. I know exactly what you're talking about. They did have an earnings model, and then they changed course like years after their original white paper. Ticked off a lot of people. They released their game. I personally played the game for a little bit, and I'm not going to lie, I played it for like a week or two, and then I haven't gone back since. I got my free rewards for the airdrop, and it was awesome for that. But yes, the earnings model is definitely going to be something that GOG has to address. And I'm sure they will. I know they're working on it for sure. Lots of great points. I want to thank you very much for coming on here today with me and talking about some GOG. Our next episode, we're going to be talking about some of the top meta characters, and if you're on a budget, what to maybe look for, and you're going to be helping me out with that. Woody, thanks for coming on today. You can find him on X at GameFi Nexus. This is Gamers Galaxy as we focus fire on Guild of Guardians. Everybody take care. Bye-bye now.